at the University of Michigan for both the Center for Entrepreneurship as well as the Business Engagement Center. My primary role is working either with small companies or with student startups. And so thank you guys all for coming here today. How many of you guys are students? It doesn't matter if you're not a student, everybody has ideas about the journal. So this panel is about what do you do once you have an idea, where do you go from there, and if people are excited and happy enough, we'll go for you guys later in the session to stand up and say what you're working on, and you'll have feedback from our panel of experts. First I'd like to introduce Sandra Cochran. Sandra works for the FETDC, and she can explain what the acronym stands for, but she works with, she's a technical consultant that works with companies, mostly in life sciences as well as Klinke. She ran the life science incubator in Kalamazoo for 7 years, so thank you for coming out in the life science space. Next we have Moses Lee, who's are you an assistant professor?
Yes.
At the Center for Entrepreneurship. He runs the Venture Accelerator, which is called TechArb, as well as teaches many of our entrepreneurial courses at the University of Michigan. Next, we have Wes Hofstetter from the Office of Technology Transfer, and so he works with startup companies, especially in the areas of IP issues, and helps them think about who their customers are. What's your technical title, Wes?
I don't have one.
Yeah, he's Student Entrepreneurship Program Manager. Uncle Wes is what he's kindly called at the university. And finally, we have Bill Mayer from Ann Arbor Spark. He runs the incubator at Spark, and you can actually talk about some of the programs and services you have available.
Sure. So for entrepreneur support for startup companies, we do networking and educational events. We have 3 incubators, 2 dry office and 1 wet lab incubator, and then we also do acceleration services for our startup companies, and we do funding programs. We have a capital division that runs 2 different microloan programs in the Michigan Pre-Seed Capital Fund. And the microloan and the Pre-Seed Capital Fund are relevant for the entire state. So if you're applying to one of your smart zones, it lands in our lap eventually.
Who knows what a smart zone is?
Sorry. There's 15 different smart zones around Michigan. Lansing is one, Ann Arbor is one, Techtown and Detroit is one, Arbor Alley. So if you get to the point where you are relevant and ready for a microloan, you would talk to your local smart zone. It's up on the MBBC website. Or if you're ready to match your private investment in the Michigan Pre-Seed Capital Fund, you would get a letter of support from your smart zone as well. So homework assignment, learn who your smart zone is.
Right. It doesn't mean anybody's smarter than the other zones. That's the word that we speak with. So. And also I'd like to introduce Wayne Harvey, because he really helped get this panel together, so it's a lot of helps technology transfer as well. All right, so there's 2 ways we could do this. I thought we'd start, I might ask a few questions to the panel just to kind of warm it up, and then the first person who comes up with an idea, I might throw something at you that you can keep. So the first question I want to ask you guys is,
That's Moses, he feels unprepared. Yeah, I'm ready to talk.
First question I'm going to ask is, I have an idea, and it's awesome. What do I do with it? What's next? What's the first thing I should do?
Very first thing you should do?
Yeah.
Talk to someone about it. Somebody you trust.
I'm really afraid, because what if they take that idea?
You know, and the thing is, yeah, and we certainly, I get this a lot, right? Because no one wants to talk about it. It's fine. You can talk about it as a black box. Input goes in, something magical happens, right? You know, it's a bunny with, you know, who knows, right? It's magic. And then boom, out the other side comes whatever it is you want to do. You can talk about it like that, not explain. Consumer software is a little bit more difficult because we're talking about a website or something like that. And in the process of explaining it, you kind of disclose exactly what it is. But at some point, you're going to have to trust someone. And so the more people you talk to, the more likely, the better your idea gets, the more hardened it gets.
Yeah, I mean, we talk to students all the time. Even for myself, I'm an entrepreneur. When we were launching our company, we talked to hundreds and hundreds of people. And we were not afraid of, sharing our idea with people. You're going to steal the idea. It's all about execution and competition. If you're scared of competition, do not become an entrepreneur. It is competitive. It's more competitive than football, Michigan State versus MSU. I mean, it is fierce. I mean, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, right? So you have to be willing to take on that risk. I mean, it depends on what kind of IP, I mean, if you have IP, there's certain things you probably don't want to disclose, but if you talk about the general idea with other people, potential customers, users, stakeholders, you get a better sense of whether your idea has any merit, so.
And I like to think that if no one else is thinking about your idea, that's a big red flag.
Oh, yeah.
Because if there's a real market pain that you're addressing, then someone has probably thought about it. We all have ideas every day, but we do nothing about them. And so the execution risk to your idea is what's so important.
And, you know, the corollary to that is, for those of us who are service providers in a sense to this, if we went and took your idea and ran with it, none of us would be able to work again. Same is true with venture capitalists. If you go up to a VC and you pitch your idea and they say, no thanks, and then turn around and start a company doing it, no one's ever going to take their idea from them again. If no one ever comes to me with their idea, sort of go out of a job. If no one's willing to talk to me. So the same is true for all of us. There's a counter to that as well, is that if you're talking to entrepreneurial people, they get caught up in your excitement and your passion, they want to help. You'll be surprised, entrepreneurs love to help other entrepreneurs. It's just part of the way the ecosystem works.
I think a really important reason why you want to talk a lot too to other people about your ideas, to find out what's going on out there. You may have a really good idea, and the more you discuss it, you may find out that there are 10 other companies out there, leaps and bounds ahead of yours. And so you don't want to waste time trying to enter into a market when other people have already thought of it and they're already ahead of you, and you may not be able to catch up. Or at least then you are aware of what's going on, and maybe you can transition your idea a little bit to fit into a niche that maybe isn't being addressed, but you have to find out who else is thinking about it, and is it that novel and that unique, and then how might it fit into what the market is doing.
So with that, I want to see, that's just a warmer up questions, because I know there's always who wants to speak first. So does anybody have an idea they want to throw out? You get a t-shirt.
Right, come on.
There
All right.
First, you can take it all.
See, you're an entrepreneur, and you're not afraid to take risks.
Let's see what happens.
Okay, guys, so my idea is this.
Who are you and maybe where you're from?
Yeah, my name is Michael Henry. I'm a student at Michigan State University. I'm a junior there. So
What do you say?
I'm studying business psych or IO psych. So hopefully I'll do well with that. But anyway, so right now I'm also, as a student, I'm also a painting contractor. So I go out, I do bids on homes and work the sales and marketing part of that. and in that job, a lot of costs are associated with that in terms of marketing. Like I spend a lot of money getting leads and on the sales portion. So if I could come up with some kind of, I guess, website or some kind of portal for homeowners to seek out the labor side of the business, you know, the actual painters who are working on the house, and have like a lesser charge rate for that, and make that more transparent, it would be really easy for consumers to get in touch with the labor side at a much lesser cost. So to give you an idea, basically as a contractor, I go and I have a $30 an hour charge rate that I apply to all the services, and I go and I take that and use that to cover my own business costs, but also to pay the labor for the work, which is about $15 an hour. So if we were to eliminate my job, which is the sales and marketing portion, if you communicate directly to the labor, you know, a lot of the costs associated with that, with getting the job done.
So do you have any questions? What's your question, or?
Yeah, I guess like what would be a good way to approach that? You know, how do you market that to consumers, and is that really a viable option, or what potential flaws do you see in that plan?
So what if we drill down on that a little bit and put ourselves in the shoes of the customer that needs a painting job done? What would you say that customer's pain is?
I'm sorry,
So if I need my house painted,
yes, yeah.
there's probably a couple pains that I have. Identifying a good contractor that I can trust.
Sure.
I want to pay as little as possible.
Right.
And I want to know, sort of what all my options are to make it really easy for me. Probably a pretty fair assumption.
Yes.
Okay, So that's on the customer side of the transaction. On your side of the transaction, you have to spend money in terms of generating leads. Do you feel like you're not, even spending money, are you able to generate enough leads? Are they good leads? Are they, do you see a high enough close rate? Do you feel your cost per customer acquisition is too high? What's your pain?
It's the effort of having to go out and hire marketers, having to put the actual time into it, which is all good and fine. It just takes a lot of effort to do that.
Okay, so you need efficiency around managing the whole lead and customer acquisition process.
Yes.
Okay. So if we started on the side of the customer that needs the house painted, what exists now for them to try and source contractors?
There are tons of different places on the internet, along with referrals that you can get. So in terms of, I guess, finding a painting contractor, there's not a huge issue in going out and finding something.
Do people have issues with reliability and quality of contractors?
Yeah, you always go out and you find somebody who has a horror story about, this guy didn't show up, or he did a really poor job, or whatever. And that's kind of the whole, and that's where the sales process comes in. It's like, all right, what are your needs? What previous experiences have you had? So yeah, I would definitely say that's true.
Okay, so I know something exists like and-use list, for example, to address that. Have you seen any benefit from that solution?
Me
personally?
Me personally, no, not from that solution.
Okay, so it sounds like there may be some inefficiencies in the customer acquisition side of being a painting contractor, and there may be some inefficiencies present in terms of people that are looking to have their house painted. So how could you what solution could you create to bridge the gap between those two?
Before you answer that, we have a lot of people in there. Let's just talk about, so I think what you are touching on is you're trying to identify the customer pain, which, does anybody know what that means when we say customer pain? Okay. Just for the rest of the people in the room, Moses, or do you get this?
So, how many people here take vitamins? Do they work? Yes. How do you know? You don't? You don't know? No. You don't know. Yeah. So the corollary to that is, anybody ever take a painkiller? And, like blow out your knee, whatever it may be, you take, what is it, Vicodin? You take some sort of painkiller, knee doesn't hurt. Painkiller wears off, knee hurts again. Time to take another one. Pain is measurable. So in business, it's a lot easier to sell painkillers than it is to sell vitamins. You have to convince someone that they need to take this with no measurable results, that this is something, that this is cool, this is great, take this. Versus, and people do sell vitamins, by the way, but it's a lot easier to sell something, here's your problem, here's the solution to that problem. And so that's what we're getting at, is that there's a pain in the marketplace, there's a pain, whatever it may be. I'm trying to think of something.
Well, so like in your business, the customer pain is finding a reliable contractor to paint their house where they can get the best service, cheapest price, and the person's going to show up and finish on time, right?
Right.
And so you have to find, your pain is trying to meet that need, and you're trying to figure out the way to meet it. So what Bill is suggesting is that you talk to as many customers as you possibly can to say, how can I serve that?
And ultimately, though, painting is a commodity. And so you run into a lot of difficulties where since it's a commodity, it's difficult to differentiate yourself between you and someone else. And in something like painting, there's a continuum between cost and quality. The more expensive it is, probably the higher quality it is, the more reliable. And then you work your way down to someone who's less reliable, maybe a little bit more sloppy, to the, of course, the far end of the spectrum, so you can just get on a ladder and paint your house yourself. Right? You have that option. And so trying to find what it is that how you can do something to guarantee quality, which ends up being more cost, maybe liability insurance, maybe something along those lines. This is the hard part of differentiation. Lead generation is just a problem that comes with being in a commodity business, where what's to stop me from using anyone else in this room for your product? you guys are gonna get the same paint that I asked for, I may buy the paint for you.
I think
You're just labor.
it's important too, we touched on a point of talking to the customer, and I would say this for everyone, not just your business idea, but any business idea that you've got. You need to get out there and talk to the customer and find out what they see as the solution to their problem. You can't just say, I've got this great thing and I'm gonna go sell it and everybody's gonna want it, because I got news for you, odds are not everybody's gonna want it. In fact, I know everybody's not gonna want it. But you may find that what you have in mind is not quite what that market really wants. And only by getting out there and talking to them and finding out what is that pain, how do you want that pain solved? And then you can figure out whether or not your product or service is really going to hit that target or not. You may find out you are just off enough that you'll never hit it and you won't succeed. But if you just spin it a little bit, add a feature you weren't planning on, or stripping out a feature. I've actually seen products where customers said, I will pay you money to take that out because that is going to complicate this solution to such a degree I don't want it. But oh, but it's so cool. Customers are like, I don't care. I don't want cool. I want my problem solved as quickly and easily as possible. Give me this. So it's really important for all of you thinking of your businesses, make sure you understand how that customer wants their pain solved and how you can best address it.
Minimum viable product.
Yes, thank you.
You want to find, you don't strip as much of the features out as possible. What is the minimum thing you can go to market with?
And then listen.
And also be careful when talking to someone, because everyone says they'll buy it, right? So if I say, you know, I'm selling these little iPad 2s, right? Hey, you know, would you buy it? Yeah, I'd buy it. Of course I'd buy it. Buy it. Right? Oh, yeah, no, well, you know. Yeah, I'm going to get one. I'm going to get one, but maybe next month, next week, you know. As opposed to if you get the response when you say, would you buy this? Instead of, yeah, I'd buy that, which is actually the answer you don't want. The answer you want is, I've got to have this. This solves a problem. Can I be your beta customer? Can we get this implemented today? When can we do this? When you start getting those kind of responses, now you're kind of, this is, now we've found that pain point, right? This is, you're now selling a Vicodin of something as opposed to the Flintstones tablets.
Right, and identifying a real market pain, identifying something that people, they don't know what the solution is, you don't know what the solution is, but people are unhappy, you know, that there's something wrong, and you create a solution to that problem is a much better way than, you know, I've developed this wireless sensor, I have no idea what it's going to do, but the technology's great. So maybe we could stick it in sewers, maybe we could put it up there on the ceiling. I don't know, but you know, it's a really cool sensor.
Build it and they will come, never works.
Right?
Well, and this is very true of engineers as well. So, you know, I'm a computer scientist by degree, so I can say this, but engineers like to build, you know, on camera, I was going to say stuff. So we like to build things, right? We get half the feedback we need, and we just want to start building it, and then we run across another feature. What, you know, we never saw a feature we didn't like, so we just build and build and build. Never gets ready. It's overdone. We're not actually solving a problem people care about. Talk to customers, figure out the problem, build, test that against those customers.
All right, next.
Yeah, all right, thanks, Michael. What's the next idea they want to get some feedback on? And we'll spice in questions about just basically working with ideas. Really, no one else has an idea? You do. I can say it. You do. Because you get it back.
Awesome.
Be number 2.
That the t-shirt came in.
But you're going to use that bag. You didn't just throw it away, did you?
No, my name's Andy Pong. I'm a senior at Michigan State studying finance.
And my name is Darren Gross, studying finance as well, senior.
I guess I'll kind of start with like I guess we're talking about pain, so I'll start with like the customer pain. You know, cancer is a really big thing today, and you know, more and more people have it. And a lot of the costs that come from cancer are making the extra trips, making trips to the doctor, as well as like the time that the cancer patient, as well as all the caregivers of those cancer patients give up by like driving them to the hospital and managing symptoms. And so through Michigan State Technologies, back in I think 2005, they put together a cancer symptom management toolkit. It was a concrete book based on clinical studies, and you know, pretty much enabling people to manage their symptoms from home. You know, self-help toolkit, and you know, a lot of like the little stuff. You know, people will go to the hospital for a headache, they'll get there, and the doctor will give them two Advil and, talk to them, and then they'll go home. And it's like $2,000 to be there for an hour for something small. So we've kind of conceptualized as a way to turn this book digital in order, to kind of allow people to, have the digitized version of this book so they can search and find for some of the symptoms, they have, and how to manage those, as well as, maybe giving some sort of decision tree with it, if this hurts, go here, if this hurts, then go here. And then on top of that, we try to create some sort of way to connect a lot of the cancer patients together with that. Kind of, this worked for me, this didn't work for me, and kind of just, it's kind of hard to find someone else that has cancer or someone else that's going through something you're going through. So a way to kind of bring those people together around, content that was, before clinical studies have found that content is a pretty cool way. And that's kind of.
So that's your, is this a company, or is this an idea, or are you working on it, or?
Well, like MSU, it's MSU's technology, the book. They had the doctors do the research and put together this book. They sold it 5 years ago to Blue Cross Blue Shield, and now it's just sitting with MSU, and we were given the opportunity to make something of it. So.
Okay.
What did Blue Cross Blue Shield do with it?
We have studies of the effectiveness of it, but that's what we're in the process right now of trying to get, because the contact's been lost for 5 years, so we're trying to get back that contact and find out why they stopped getting it. Was it MSU's fault, or was it your fault, or how did it work for you? And that's what we're in the process. It's hard to get in contact with the insurance companies, but that's what we're in the process of working our way out to.
The one doctor kind of said pretty much, we're researchers, we're not marketers. We have no clue what happened with the book or anything like that. So they kind of.
So assuming everything works, how do you make money on this?
Well, Blue Cross Blue Shield had bought the first. They had bought, I think, 1,000 copies of it. So, or 2,000. So our plan would be to, because it saves. In one of the studies, it has been saving. It cuts costs in half. Or if instead of making 2 trips a month, the cancer patient makes 1 trip a month, and each trip costs an average insurance company $1,800. So we would in essence try to contract with these insurance companies for X amount of subscriptions, and then they would go ahead and have to somehow we would have to figure out a way between us and them to distribute them to their insured clients.
So I have 3 things that I would love you guys to address in this scenario, because this is not an unusual thing where you're working with this Michigan State University, and it's their product. And so the questions I would have for you guys is, it sounds like he might have IP issues. Does he have a product or a company idea? And talk about customers, because if Blue Cross and Blue Shield bought it, who knows if it worked. So those are the things.
Well, the IP side, obviously, you've already said that the Michigan State owns it, and you have to be able to license that technology.
Yeah.
Does everybody know what it means to license technology from a university or from somebody else? Okay, it's a phrase that doesn't understand.
So, this kind of, the question is it actually a business, or is this just a book? Right, is this a book?
Right now it's a book.
Yeah.
That's what we're.
So it kind of sounds like WebMD for cancer patients.
Right.
Is what I'm getting right now.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's exactly that's what most people say that we just got.
It just sounds like that. Now, here's the problem with WebMD and some of these other sites, is that people who self-diagnose, it's generally a very bad thing. So I'd be really interested if you talk to real doctors, and not just researchers, but what they would say about something like this. So we went to a doctor when we had our baby about a year ago, and they said, do not trust online things. You're going to try to self-diagnose your child. You're going to try to you're going to put fear in it. They do not read that stuff. They told us this. Our doctors, it's stupid to self-diagnose. That's what a lot of doctors would say. Now, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, it's up to you. So I would be really interested to talk to cancer patients to see what kind of advice they're getting from doctors, because they're going to listen to their doctors beyond just trying to self-diagnose in a book.
His customers, the insurance company, not the doctor.
Right, so there's the whole,
Exactly.
you've got
One stakeholder.
users,
That's
you've got
what-
users as the people using the cancer patients. You have the economic buyer, which is the insurance companies, as Al pointed out. So these are all things you're gonna have to play in,
Yeah.
and figuring out what the business model is for this.
Just to say about the self-help, how there could be problems with that. These are for minor problems, not serious problems that a cancer patient is facing, but for things like fatigue or something like that, that can be solved at home.
Well,
Yeah.
again, you know, are you a medical expert?
Well, no, the doctors did research on, the researchers were doctors.
Yeah, but that does, I mean, the
Yeah.
researchers, are they practicing doctors?
The doctors will oppose this.
I was gonna say, the incentives are not in line with
If
the.
you vote no, say the doctors are gonna oppose
Because
this.
the-
Who cares what they think? What cares is what insurance companies think.
So this, I'll do a little intervention here. This is a really, this is an opportunity, or this is a situation that you see where somebody tried to take something to market and it failed. You can insert a lot of different industries and a lot of different businesses. And what's really important is to try and understand why it failed. Was it that, you know, people wanted their doctor to tell them? Was it that Blue Cross thought there was a value proposition and it didn't play out? Was it a book wasn't what people wanted? They wanted a website. You know, try and deconstruct, okay, what went wrong? And I know there's challenges, but,
Yeah.
and then the discovery, again, in terms of talking to the doctors, finding out, you know, you mentioned the economic buyer. We're assuming it's the payer, but maybe this could be a cancer patient's companion handbook.
MSU is like a little, you know, it's not as advanced as Michigan with the entrepreneurial field. Like they're just like beginning to have it. They actually just like had their first business competition held at MSU, like first time ever.
Also yourself, Connor.
Yeah, you're fine.
No, I know, but I'm just saying like,
It's all good.
you know, that, like the reason I think it failed just from like the talks that we've had with people is more on MSU's behalf of the doctors who put this together and their motives. They're very old doctors and they weren't really motivated to keep it going, and they're more like researchers and trying to find
So
information.
to me, I think the thing to do is to put together a quick and dirty prototype of what it is you're envisioning. And then go to the different stakeholders.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's what I was talking with someone who did one of the other workshops about just the minimum viable product.
Yeah.
Something,
exactly.
it's gonna be a digitized version of it, so, you know, get some sort of how that decision tree works, how it works online, and why it's pretty much different than WebMD, like why it's reliable, whereas WebMD might not, like you had mentioned, self-diagnosis is never the best thing.
Well, yeah, you need all the stakeholders to play. Even if the insurance company, I get sent stuff from my insurance company all the time. Do I read it? I read stuff from the active doctor sends me. I mean, so again, that's me. I mean, I get mailers all the time from Hack. They send me all this stuff, and I don't necessarily read it, right? Because they're trying to lower costs. Now, I want to keep my health up, right? So I mean, whatever it may be, I think you just need to look at the variety of stakeholders and talk to insurance companies at the same time. So.
Can I interject? Can you guys talk a little bit about the difference between a prototype, a minimum viable product, and actually building your product? Just like when that happens, when you do it in that process, because these guys are you want to do a minimal viable product.
Yeah, we just want to
Get something to show.
people.
So when do you do that? When do you do a prototype?
Yeah, so,
Mock something like PowerPoint.
yeah, I mean,
What is the
prototype, I
minimum
mean, you give a working prototype, which basically means I've got something that has a basic functionality of what I'm trying to do. It may not work well yet, may not be scalable, but I'm showing that a proof of concept, so to speak, that I get it to work. Minimum viable product means this is something that is logical, it's commercial, and it has the minimum feature set that's required to launch.
That people will pay for, or somebody
You
will
can
pay
get
for.
faith charge somebody to use it, and they would be happy with it.
Yeah, it's definitely a plus with what we're doing, just because it's like for a good cause, and, you know, like that's also why we want to do it too, not just for the money, but to,
And you could go pretty far without writing a single line of code, right?
yeah.
Mock-ups on paper, what you PowerPoints is what Moses was saying. Just go with sheets and say, you know, just put it on, you know, on a little notebook and say, what would you press now? And you press that button and then you flip to that page. Okay, here's what it would look like. I mean, you have to write a single line of code. It works all the time. In fact, some of the better written software started out that way. Because now you know exactly how the user's going to use it. You understand the human-computer interaction side of it. You understand what state people are going to be in when they do that.
And you think that would like be what you were saying earlier, how people will say, you know, they'll buy it until it actually comes down to it. They'll actually buy it, like, you know, just having a mock thing saying, oh yeah, that's interesting. Like,
Well, I mean, you got to interview people to find out, because there's still this disconnect potentially I have my doctor's phone number in my phone, especially if I'm a cancer patient.
Right.
And do I sit down at the computer, or do I call the 24-hour line that they have, that inertial answer?
And our feeling is to be more interactive and, instead of talking to somebody on the phone to
With
look
I
up and see.
with cancer patients, when my wife was seriously ill, you can wait a long time to get a doctor to call you back. Something like this might be very valuable.
Right now, there's a recognition of pain, right? Now there's a timing issue, there's a lag between information.
Yeah, and there was one of the.
Will you still call the doctor at the end of the day, or do you just look in the book? I was curious.
Well, probably do both. Probably call the doctor first, and while you're waiting for the doctor to respond, go online.
Sure.
Back in the day when we were dealing with this issue, there wasn't the online ability that you've got now.
But if do you think, in your opinion, if there was something that maybe cost you $5 or $10 that could be on your tablet, that would, be a decision tree of content to help you sort of understand, is this something that's really serious, or is this something
Well,
that...
given the fact, we were talking about something that was seriously life-threatening, 80% mortality, but unfortunately, that didn't happen for us, but, I'd spend $5 in a heartbeat for something like that.
And, tips, things you could do proactively to try and, reduce and mitigate symptoms and things like that. Is there an intrinsic value in that?
I think so.
And that's kind of where, we are coming from, is that exact thing right there, rather than rush to the ER. Can this something can mitigate it at home? Right?
And our target market originally is, insurance companies, because they already sold to Blue Cross Blue Shield, but, we definitely thought of, because just off the research we've been doing the past couple of weeks, just like, even to the individual cancer patient who may not even have insurance, could be way more valuable to them, who,
Right.
have to pay for
I
something.
will point out that there could be a liability issue built into this as well.
Yeah.
I want to wrap up this conversation. Did you have one more?
Yeah, just one point. For pregnant women, all insurance companies have something like this. So it's a good idea because they are looking for ways to allow you to communicate like that, and they'll put you on text messaging, on daily things for getting text messages to talk about the baby and where the baby's at, and all this kind of stuff. So if it works with pregnant women, it'll definitely work with cancer patients. And maybe the timing thing was, this was 5-6 years ago they did it. So the web has come, a long way, and the kind of SaaS model of, going on yourself and doing research is there. So, and I think that a 10-page web page, where you just put in your headache idea and you just do the decision tree from there, that can be done for cheap, $1,000.
I would definitely look at
That's
demographics,
dirt cheap.
because people with, depending on whether you're going after elderly or people who are pregnant are pretty much in their 20s and 30s, maybe more tuned to the web. So you have to do some discovery on user behavior.
So if there's one big takeaway, it's become an expert in your market. Do your research, understand your market, understand the buying behavior, understand these aspects of to whom you're trying to sell.
Yeah.
Do that
I'm
early.
really concerned about putting 5-year-old content out there too.
Right, and certainly the social side of this is interesting as well. There's been companies who have been successful at this. You think about one of our startups, Health Media, being bought by J&J, who did kind of tailoring, changing behavior, quit smoking or whatever it may be, by doing that in sort of a community. The same is true of cancer patients or people who have that community and diabetes, whatever it may be. They may stick to the programs and change their behaviors, eat better, whatever it may be.
All right, let's do another.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, you guys. It was great. Both companies were great. So I know there are other people in here with ideas. So who has another idea? All right, it's you.
All right. My business partner is going to kill me if he sees this video. So we'll make sure he's the quiet, close to the best one. So we've created a social gifting app. It's called Gift, G-I-V-T, gift.com. We're building that right now. But anyways, the concept behind it is the social generosity. Rather than taking deals that a vendor or a retailer would provide, buying them for yourself, a la Groupon or giving Living Social, you would give this to somebody on a special occasion, on a birthday. Facebook API that connects, and you can give the gift to somebody on their birthday. So currently, 100% of the traffic on Facebook on birthdays is just well wishes. And this would allow a brand to capitalize on that opportunity to be in that space. And you would give your friend the gift rather than buying it for yourself. So it's kind of classic referral marketing. I could go really deep initially, but I'll let you guys kind of.
Are you giving an actual gift to warehouses?
So the way it works is, the way a vendor now is willing to give away a deep discount, like Groupon, they'll give away basically 50%. Really, they're giving away 75% of the value because they have to split with Groupon. So let's say Victoria's Secret, for example, they do very well online, would say we're willing to give away $10 to somebody who will, to deliver a new customer into our one of our stores, but this person has to be ages 25 to 35 and a female interested in, some, whatever, using their Facebook likes and causes, we can target the exact consumer. So where Groupon tends to attract deal seekers, they don't necessarily deliver the best consumer experience because this person may just jump to one dentist and then the next dentist and the next and get their teeth whitened in 3 different places. This allows somebody who is an advocate for a brand, who really likes a brand, to give their friend $10 or $20 to go to a place. But they've essentially done that for free because the brands it's a simple CPA number for the brand. So in traditional advertising, they might spend 20, 30, hundreds of dollars to get a consumer. This actually delivers a consumer to the door via the social gifting app. It's like a gift card on a mobile device.
So this is kind of like a discount gift catalog that people can use on Facebook to send a gift to a friend?
Correct. In a sense, yes.
Okay, I got just 2 questions because you need to clarify for me then.
Yeah.
Okay, already on Groupon, I can give a gift.
Yep.
So you have to explain to me how this is different.
Yep.
And then also on Living Social, they have a thing, if you refer to 3 friends, you get yours for free. So that's kind of a push as well. So how is what you're proposing different from both of those 2?
You can't buy this for yourself. This is only about social gifting. It's basically about generosity of mankind at its very base. We don't want people to be buying. You're already a fan of that brand if you're buying something for yourself. This is about advocating for the brand and delivering that to somebody else. And on their birthday, saying, happy birthday, here's $20 to X restaurant or to go into Y brand.
I'm sorry. If I would give you a gift on your birthday,
Yep.
I'm picking from a suite of different things to give you.
Correct. So based on
what I like, or what you
based
like?
on who the person who's turning, say, 35, they're a 35-year-old male with interest in charities. Based on all those things, a certain number of vendors will pop up, and you choose from those gifts.
Based on what you like.
Based on what the person who you're giving the gift to likes, right?
So profile is
So
friends.
is this driven by
Facebook API,
information?
yeah. So we have all their information. So we know if you're a 35-year-old male who's interested in charities, right? The vendors who have decided to advertise, it's essentially an advertising platform, to advertise through the gift network, say, I don't know, there's probably 20 or 30 different companies who fit that demographic. So you go through and say, okay, my friend qualifies for these 20 or so gift cards. I'm going to give him this one because I like this brand or I like this restaurant. I want to refer him into that restaurant.
But I think, and it's based on your interest.
It's based on the person who's receiving this interest.
Yeah, so I'm picking from basically all these things, and I'm just saying I'm going to give you $30 worth of whatever.
Yep. You're giving your friend something on his birthday.
So the pain point, okay, so I'm not sure, is the pain point the following, is when I'm giving you a gift, I don't know what to get you?
The pain point is, right now, you can't do anything but say happy birthday to your friend on his birthday on the wall.
Yeah,
right?
but the heart of this is that I want to get you something for your birthday. Because if I really wanted to get you something on your birthday, I would get you something.
Sure.
Right? So whether it's online or it's in person, if I have a good friend, I'm going to get him a gift.
Sure, but
Right.
this is free for you to get your friend a gift.
It's free.
You don't give me gifts.
Oh, it's free.
What? It's free or paid. It's up to the vendor to decide. So they could charge, it's a CPA number. Yeah, they could charge $3 and give away $10 worth of merchandise. They could give away $20 worth of merchandise for free. It depends on their business model and what a new customer's worth to them.
Can I use this thing to give myself gifts?
You cannot. But if you've given gifts to several of your friends and they obviously redeem them by downloading the app, then when it's your birthday or special occasion, they can gift back to you.
So I'm going to give my friend a gift that I'm not paying for.
Correct. Or maybe you're paying for it. It just depends. That's up to the vendor.
How do you control your numbers based on a new customer? How do you control knowing whether your friend is in fact a new customer or not?
They have no really way of knowing if it's a new customer or not, but it is driving traffic into their store. It's a closed system though, so we
If I was one of these guys,
Uh-huh.
could I use Facebook's demographic and whatnot, to send out appeals to?
You could absolutely do this on your own. Any company could do this for their own company. The value of this is the gift network, because you can give away so many different things to your friends, we can grow a user base really fast. Whereas one brand's gonna have a hard time getting everybody to download their app. This is like a generic app for giving in general. So, you just have the gift app rather than 20 different brands apps in your phone.
But are you just giving a discount? Like you're only giving them 10%?
You're not giving a discount. That's the whole science behind it, right? So Groupon, there's discounting the product. So people are going in there with an understanding that they're getting something for half price.
Yeah.
So it's lowering the brand value. This is your friend giving you money to go spend in a place. So the brand value holds true for the vendor, for the person doing the advertising. They're not discounting.
But the
the
corollary to that is, Whole Foods did a Groupon, it was like, for $20 you get $40 off. That's great, but it's hard to find anything at Whole Foods for $20.
Exactly, which is why.
So I'm giving you a gift which requires you to buy something.
Absolutely. You're giving them $10, $20, whatever.
A lot of people find that kind of, I don't know, freaky.
There's a $100 billion industry in America, gift cards.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that's also different.
So,
Well, who have you talked to and you have technology?
We do have technology, and we've talked to a lot of angel groups, San Francisco, Chicago.
Besides that,
Detroit.
but actual advertisers?
Oh yeah, actually Best Buy and a couple others. I need to be careful how much I say. It's pretty sensitive time for us.
I still think you need to get to the users.
So the users, all right, so I'll tell you this. There's a competitor that's launched out of Sweden. They were just funded by Greylock Partners 2 weeks ago to the tune of $5 million. Atomic funded the first round, $5.5 million. They're called WRAP, W-R-A-P-P, like wrapping paper. It's essentially the same concept. We've had this for 8 months, but they beat us to market. We have some differential points, so I don't need to go into those right now, but they're growing their user base at 30% week over week in Sweden right now. They're launching in the US and UK within the next couple months. So we're the other competitor to them. We hope to be.
You have this built?
We do, yeah.
Okay. So, and you have advertisers that are willing to offer deals?
We're in the advertiser acquisition phase now. Our build now is rugged. We'd like to redesign it. We'd like to redesign the interface. We'd like to redo the branding. We have a good brand, but we think the brand can be better. And we need to, build a site and everything like that. So we're taking our seed capital. We've been in meeting the last couple of weeks for seed capital.
And you take a piece of every transaction?
We do take a piece of every transaction. If the vendor decides to do, or the advertiser decides to do a paid gift card, we would take a transaction fee. So if they say it's $3 to give away 10 to your friend, but if they give them away for free, they only pay us on redemption, which is huge because they get that brand placement on somebody's Facebook wall for free, essentially. And not until that person actually comes in with the app and redeems the gift card do they pay. Whereas Groupon forces people to pay up front.
So what's stopping you from launching?
Seed capital.
Are you a student?
I'm not. We're from Ohio. That's probably the other thing stopping us from launching. I'm a huge Michigan fan, but I'm stuck in Toledo.
What do you need the money for?
We need to go, so we're working on the integration with the vendor piece. So our technology developer, the app
How do you pay somebody to
functions.
develop this?
Well, the app functions where we can give away gifts to people, on the network, but integrating with vendors is a big piece because ideally I'd like to be able to just bring the app and they scan it or it communicates with their POS system. Now there's a couple main ones, so we have to do the build out to integrate with the POS systems is where the major money is going to be spent initially.
so I want to wrap this up because we only have 15 minutes left.
Good call. Wrap it up.
Not with 2 P's.
Don't worry, none of us are going to say.
All right, so thank you.
Oh my goodness, we gotta go.
We're taking seed funding so.
But I mean, nothing, I would launch this and run the back end manually. But what you can't do is proof of concept.
Yeah, that's what we're doing right now. So we have some local vendors signed up in Toledo, and we're running the test right now. But we'd like to scale fast because RAP is coming to the United States in the next 2 months. And we think we have the name with GIFT, GIVT to compete with them.
Well, there's validation in your space.
Yeah, it is. It was big. I mean, when Greylock funded them 2 weeks ago, that was like a huge validation for us. But obviously, we have to move quick because there's imitators now, I'm sure, coming out of the woodwork. Anyways, thanks.
No, thank you.
So instead of taking more ideas, or if we have one or two, I know that there's a lot of other people in here. I have no idea why you decided to come to this particular session, but I'm sure you might have questions. So maybe we'll either an idea or a question for our panel. If not, I have lots of questions for our panel that I can ask.
Yeah, my name is Dominic Hong and I'm from China, and I'm also from Michigan State University. I'm doing Master of Science in Accounting. And this idea is not my idea, it's from our group team leader. We compete in the business plan communication in Michigan State University with this idea. And we planning to create a company called Digital Bridge, and it's an inbound marketing company. Aims at help these small businesses around campus and around universities to create like Facebook pages and Twitter and maybe a website something, and we think we plan to use college students because so that we can give our customer a very lower price, because I think small businesses are very sensitive to their price.
So it's a social media.
Yeah.
It's a company that helps small companies. Yeah.
Service company? So in other words, you're
Yeah, service.
It's like the eBay store kind of idea, where you're going to help people, like eBay stores help people do eBay sales, you're going to help them do Facebook.
No. We help that small businesses like already open around campus, like maybe a restaurant or a pub, but maybe the owner of the small businesses are in the middle age. They do not use Facebook or Twitter very much, and the university students are very young, so they like to get on to
consulting.
Facebook.
It's consulting.
No, it's not consulting. It's not like consulting. We provide service. We help them to create the pages and update it.
Well, it's consulting.
Yeah, so you're going to create you're going to do a social media play for like either Facebook or Twitter. You're going to help the small companies in the area set up their accounts so that they can give discounts to students to increase the number of customers. Is that
What if we said you're going to outsource the social media strategy of your local business owners?
Yeah.
This is what do we think about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is your question, what do you think about that, or do you have a question behind your company, or?
What do you think about that idea?
So, and there's a distinction I want to make. A lot of times people talk about entrepreneurs, they talk about whether it's, Steve Jobs and Apple, or, the next disruptive technology that's going to change an industry. Remember, they're entrepreneurs and they're also business people. And small business owners, if you see an opportunity for revenue, and you could, be the social media outsource solution for East Lansing of doing this, there could be a legitimate revenue model in that, and you could build a business around that. If you're trying to launch, a technology platform that you could, have $10 million in revenue in 3 years, that's a different venture.
So you're talking about the difference between a small company and
Right. Is there a revenue model in what you're doing? Perhaps. That's your sales. That's up to your sales and marketing acumen. So it sounds like a fairly low risk proposition to see if you could do that or not.
I
So.
would say that I in fact do pay somebody to put postings on my company's Facebook page. Because I don't have time to do it.
And that's the customer pain we aim to solve. And I think the main idea of our service is it's not about creating the Facebook pages. It's about keep updating it. And the problem now is once the employee of the small businesses is not employee there anymore, so they stop updating the Facebook pages. So maybe
Yeah, I think it's interesting because so I've talked to a number of companies and students who are thinking about working at various companies, and they do check. They want to know what your online presence is like. It's a big recruiting item, right? If you or to go work for a company that had no online presence, there's no Twitter, there's no Facebook, there's nothing on them online, your likelihood of working for them is very slim. I mean, it's a reality for this Gen X. So, I mean, there's a huge pain point between maybe a small business who doesn't have the maybe acumen or the financial resources to build that, or the time. And maybe there's a way to help them get a competitive advantage in hiring people, business generation. So maybe there's, I mean, they can try something there.
You could build a good small business with it. The inherent problem with pure service companies, not software as a service, but service is scalability.
Yeah.
And the value of the company is based on the people there. So if good people leave, your company's not good anymore. You, as the entrepreneur, as a founder of this company, will have a hard time walking away from this company to go on vacation, or you can't kind of leave this company and turn it into dividends like a normal lifestyle company person can do, because it is purely based. You get contracts based on the people in it. In a way, it's like a law firm, right?
Yeah.
Firm brand only does so much. You pick the individual lawyers there. Same is true of the other industries as well. So that's the difficult thing about service companies.
Yeah. Start it, put yourself through college, and when you're done, sell the brand and let somebody else run it.
Are there any other questions from the group about what do you do with an idea in general, whether or not you have an idea?
Yeah, I think I have one. My name is Paul Klinke. I own Epic Technology Solutions, which is a lifestyle service company doing application hosting. However, recently I had an amazing, got an amazing group together that had an idea for a knowledge creation engine. And I know it sounds really cool, but basically we are addressing a problem that exists right now and adapting to an ever-coming trend of books are going out, the internet's the way to be, and when Charles Darwin did his research on mussels, it took 7 years to validate that research, create a book, publish it, and then no one really ever read the book again except reference pieces here and there. So we have a process for extracting knowledge and creating it in a deliverable that can be linked to other knowledge pieces. And sort of like Wikipedia meets Twitter, I guess, is the easy way to present it. But really what I'm trying to get at is, is the model of providing things free, like Wikipedia, venture-worthy?
Yes.
So.
Twitter. I mean, the value could be in your information, right? So the big data is certainly an interesting topic right now. So Google was able to predict 2 weeks of swine flu outbreaks 2 weeks in advance of the CDC, because people in Atlanta, Georgia were Googling fever, headache, cough. People in Mexico City were doing that. They were calling them 2 weeks ahead. Scary. Scary to think they could do that public financial information too. Twitter's the same way. It's the value of what's being tweeted. It's what's going on in the world. And so being able to parse and analyze that data is of value, even if you're offering the service for free. Because when you offer the service for free, the more people use it, which means more data goes in.
But just as a caveat to that, Google, and especially Ann Arbor's Google office, is an extremely profitable arm of Google. So is a business without a revenue model venture backable? I mean, I would say no to that, unless you can resell and repackage your data, and there's going to be a gestation period of ramping up to having meaningful data.
Well, here's
There has to be the possibility of revenue outside of acquisition.
Okay. Yeah, this is a paradigm I'm in. The system is created for intellectuals and universities. We have instructors who are willing to test this out at a demo at a couple of the local universities here in Michigan. And really the issue here is I don't want it to go under any one profit or brand or university takes it. So we're in University of Michigan Flint's incubator right now for my company. And if we went under them, then Oakland University or MSU is not going to want to use this app because it's in their stream. And I'm just trying to figure out what's the correct avenue.
I don't know if that's true. You'd be surprised the number of cross collaboration with faculty members.
And as a matter of fact, specifically, there are people here today from the NEDC whose mandate is to facilitate collaboration between universities. So
the URC, the University Research Corridor.
yeah,
There
there's
was
about
about
3 or 5 years ago.
Wayne, Michigan, and Michigan State.
So should this this thing then just offer it free and then it's ventured back eventually?
So it depends on, so you have to be creating value, right? Solving a problem.
Right.
Solving that problem well, and then have information. So it's free to use Facebook.
Right.
Facebook is collecting lots of data about you. They know that if we're all friends up here and I like something, if I like it, the chance of everyone else liking it is pretty high. So now, if I like this water company has incentive to market to all these people, whether it's a banner, skyscraper, ad, or that's the simplest form of getting rid of banner blindness. But so using that information, there were companies, Punch and other things like that are trying to figure out recommendation engines, right? Figuring out what you're going to like. Amazon does that. So there's money to be. It's a free service. It doesn't cost you any money to use any of these things, even if there's no transaction involved. But there could be value in data.
Well, somewhere along the line, someone has to give you money.
Right.
Your challenge is to figure out who's going to give you money and what are they going to give it to you for. So figure that out, and then you got a business.
Well, so there's opportunities in this knowledge process, which may be the process of building something, that you're going to need to use lab tools.
Okay.
Lab tool companies now have incentive to know who's doing this, that they can target information to in a timely manner.
Yeah, that was the one thing that's really common is the advertising angle. We are collecting information in this process.
I shut down when I hear advertising, but not when I hear very targeted advertising. So I don't want to know, I'm just going to throw a banner out, or I'm going to sell ad space on here. I don't care about that. But in your case, where I may be at a point where I need to run some sort of experiments, and I'm going to need to buy a piece of equipment to do that, or there's something, I'm going to need to do some statistical analysis. This is a good time for someone who's selling a statistical analysis software package to let you know that they have a product available.
So you have users and you have customers. Customers of your data would be very, very key to your revenue model.
Okay.
We only have a couple minutes left, and so I'd like you guys, based on the questions and the ideas that we had, can you guys give your kind of wrap up your thoughts on how do you move an idea from the idea stage to the venture stage? And this is where
recognize a problem in the marketplace, talk to people, and build a product with the minimum number of features possible before you need to go to market. That's kind of a simple way of doing it. The more you talk to customers, the more they're likely to buy it. The more you get further, the more you have customers that can prove to venture funds, investors, that you have something that's worth it.
And I think all of you should be applauded for being here today. In an event like this.
Especially the people who stood up.
Yeah, definitely. You guys really, the best thing you can do is surround yourself with really smart people that give you meaningful feedback, that are willing to think through your idea, pick at it. You're going to like some of it, you're going to totally disagree and hate some other parts of it. Moses, when I first heard about your company, I didn't know what the hell you did. I'm thinking, I don't know.
I got it right away.
Moses is also working, not only is he running a student venture accelerator, he's also starting his own company as well.
And we're in his incubator.
And so, but the thing is, Moses had a value proposition, and he really crafted, what he was doing, why it was valuable. He proved that people would use it. He proved that people would want it. And so he's the one that drove it forward from an idea to something real. And so that's the challenge in front of all of you.
So, I think one of the things is we didn't touch on today is team. So, for example, do you actually have a team that can execute and build this that's interdisciplinary? Too often at U of M we hear of business school students coming in and talking about an idea without technology or without trying to engage an engineer. And that's a recipe somewhat for disaster. Though you can outsource technology, it's debatable whether you should do that or not. So I think forming a great team, and then we've talked about this a lot, testing your idea. We can tell you all this stuff and we could be completely full of baloney, right? Testing it with real people, a prototype or something to get validation from the people who really are going to use it. I'm not a user of a lot of the things that just were mentioned. Go talk to them. They're going to give you much more insightful information than me up here.
your parents don't count as you.
Yeah.
Your friends.
Sandra's
People
gonna
that you trust will give you brutal feedback.
So Sandra.
Okay, the last thing that I would say, something that hasn't been talked about yet, I am an advocate of business planning. I know there's a lot of folks out there who say, oh, business plan is a waste of time, just get out there and do your minimal viable product and get it to market and don't worry about the plan. I disagree. There has to be some planning of some sort. You cannot get where you're going if you have no idea where you're headed. So I agree that you do not want to take a lot of time. You don't want to take 6 months or a year to try to craft a perfect document. But putting some things in writing will crystallize in your mind what you're trying to do, and it will help you convey that information to your backers, your funders, your partners, your employees. It gets everybody on the same page and helps you really understand how you're going to move this thing forward. Because if it's all in your head, it's not real. You put it on paper, it starts to become a little bit more real. It starts to hold you accountable. Doesn't mean you can't change it. You can be changing it every day, but you need to be firm about where you're moving.
So on that note, there's actually a tool called the Business Model Canvas. I would definitely check it out.
It's great.
That's a quick and nerdy way to do
Just
so-called
Google.
business planning.
One last quick piece of advice, form a board of advisors.
Oh, yeah. It's the advice.
So, and actually, as I wrap up, we're out of time, but what I'm going to say to you, first off, I'll thank our panelists, but before you leave here, look to the person next to you who you don't know and tell them what your business idea is and see what they think. Like, it's just, that's where you start. So anyway, I want to thank our panelists. Thank you so much. Thank you guys.
Great.
Yeah.
Very much. I'd love to